How's it going, guys? Football-ManagerYouthDevelopment.co.uk here. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you how I've been developing my lower league tactics on Football Manager. A couple of weeks ago, I had made a video just showing you my lower league tactics. There's a link to that video in the description. My club has basically developed now so that we're in the championship level of the Scottish division. So we're now starting to get to this stage where we're starting to have a couple of flair players in the team, a couple of players who are actually quite decent at passing. You know, we've got quite quick strikers and things like that. So this season I've decided to amend my tactics, and what I'm going to do in this episode, I'm going to show you my tactics, my kind of thoughts about developing them, and in the next video what I'll show you is how the tactics actually look on the match engine. Okay then, so let's dive right into this. So the players that are on the screen at the moment, don't worry about them too much. In terms of the actual shape and structure of how I've had my team set up for the last 5 seasons, this is pretty much how I've had the team set up. Every so often, if I had a slightly faster player, there's a guy called Ricky McCallum who's got pace of 16, I believe it is. Yeah, acceleration of 16 and pace 15. I would quite often use him as a winger on the right hand side, but most games I did play, this would pretty much be the structure of my team. In terms of how this tactic would work, this player here would kind of be dropping around here. And then these two midfielders here would kind of drop into this position here, especially when we were attacking. The idea then is that the wingers would be kind of running down the wings as well, and they would also be supported by the two fullbacks as well. The good thing about this tactic is when we were attacking, we fairly dominant in terms of how the team was attacking. And yeah, we have managed to get quite a number of sort of promotions using this tactic. What I was finding when we were, when we either lost the ball or the other team was attacking, it was really easy. So this is pretty much what our shape looked like when we were attacking. However, what would happen as soon as we lose the ball, all the players would kind of drop into kind of like nice positions like this, and we were fairly sturdy in terms of having a solid kind of 8 players here. The defensive forward would kind of like mill around this sort of area here, just to help out. But yeah, now we've got some additional players at my team who are a little bit more skillful. We've got sort of some really decent players, to be honest, now. So what I've decided to do is amend the tactics. My kind of setup for my new tactic is going to be looking something like this. So when you are using sort of asymmetrical tactics and ones that are kind of a little bit all over the place, you do need to have a think about the player movement. I have actually made a video in the past about player movement, and it's, I think it's quite a good video myself in terms of explaining, how the players are actually going to be moving on the match engine. So I've played a couple of games so far. Team called Cologne. They're, I think, in probably the German Premier League or just the division below that. We got a 1-1 draw with that. That was the first match in testing out this tactic. We then beat Dumbarton 3-2, and I just won 6-2 against Brecon. The pleasing thing about this result is that we had about 50 crosses, I think it was. Yeah, we attempted 55 crosses, of which 17 of them were successful, so 30% cross completion rate, which I think is pretty decent. We had 27 shots, 16 on target. We created 9 clear-cut chances, which is very pleasing indeed as well. Considering that we've only actually used this tactic for like 3 games, you can see I've got loads and loads of friendlies lined up just because I want to make sure that my team are going to be very familiar with this tactic. So actually looking at the shape of the tactic, I've changed this guy's position here a few times. What the idea of this tactic is that this player here is going to be bombing forward into that position. McDonald is going to be kind of cutting in to be sort of taking up that kind of position there. Ryan, I've got him as a winger, so he's going to be the one that's going to be crossing the ball into these 3 players here. What has pretty much been happening on the match engine is that Hughes is kind of lurking around the edge of the box, sometimes making it 4 in the middle. And Ryan has basically been getting the crosses in, all them low crosses, and then these kind of four guys here are the ones that are doing all the attacking. In terms of this guy here, he pretty much just kind of mills around here. as soon as we are attacking. The fullbacks are allowed to get forward. They probably pretty much move up to this position when we are attacking the ball. So yeah, especially on the right hand side, I have got a couple of players in support. The centre backs kind of just sit in that position there. They don't really do anything. So that's pretty much how we're attacking. Basically, we've got you know, yeah, these kind of 4 key players here in support in the middle, and this guy kind of hanging back. Then we've got quite nice width, to be honest, in Ryan and McCory, and this guy Maxwell is also, you know, available on the wings if need be. In terms of my team instructions, I'm still going for the higher tempo. I do like my players to kind of win the ball back as quickly as possible. This season I am actually trying to retain possession. What I've also been experimenting with is trying to get my fullbacks to look for the overlap. What I really don't want to happen is for my fullbacks to kind of be pushing up too high, and then if we get caught on the counter attack, all it would maybe take is just one ball down here, and as you can see here, we're pretty knackered on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we're not too bad because we've actually got a couple of, you know, we have got a couple of players there, and Ryan, who is down as a support player. What would basically happen if we were attacking and all my players were in this position? This guy here, he'd be able to get back pretty quickly. Ryan would end up going into this position. This guy here is pushed forward a little bit more. It's really easy for this guy to kind of drop back into this position. Hughes, who is on the centre midfield on the support role, he kind of fills in with this position here basically when we are defending. Maxwell obviously comes right the way back down here. You can see how much further Maxwell's got to move up and down the pitch though, which is, you know, something that doesn't necessarily always happens, but he does try and get back whenever possible. And then McDonald, probably the furthest back that he's ever going to go is about here. So when we're actually defending, this is pretty much our structure here. You can see I've got 2 sort of players right in front of the 2 centre backs, which is really good. I do like this setup here. My idea basically was to have sort of a key core of about 5 players. So all my defenders here, this guy here in the defensive, the deep line playmaker position, he'll be kind of sitting back a little bit more here. Hughes does tend to sit in line with this deep line playmaker here when we are defending, and then this guy, he's usually actually a little bit further forward, which is something that I might tend, you know, have a look at, but I have noticed he is coming back very slightly. That might be something I'm going to have a look at, but yeah, in terms of our defensive structure, actually when we're kind of like moving around, this is pretty much how it looks on the match engine. So I'm pretty happy with the way the tactics looking so far, and as you saw in the match when we had 1-6-2, we were creating a lot of chances, having lots of clear-cut chances, you know, having loads of crosses and things like that. I do think having a player like McDonald on the left-hand side here, as an inside forward, I do think that he's going to be fairly decent player for us. And, you know, although we're not going to naturally have the width on that side because he's going to be cutting into the middle, yeah, he should be giving us striker quite a lot of support, I do think. In terms of Ryan on the right hand side here, because I have got him on the support duty, he's going to be kind of milling around this kind of area here, and he's not going to be too far forward. Ryan's main job is really just going to be to put the crosses in, and I do think he's going to be able to do quite well in that job for us. We've got a guy called Thomas Orr up front. He's really good at scoring quite a number of goals actually. And the good thing about this player is that he will be closing down the opposition defenders. So yeah, if we're ever kind of counter-attacking and things like that, this guy's going to be really good for kind of making sure that he's winning the ball back as quickly as possible. And then of course he has got support from McDonald's and this guy here who's really keen to get forward, having this attack duty and a central midfielder role. So in terms of actually like developing this tactic, there's been quite a few changes really. You know, we are still looking to get the ball down the left and right hand wings. That's going to be a mainstay of our play. However, we're a little bit more kind of flexible really. So although I have kept the team shape as structured for now, just simply because I don't want these 3 players to really go out of position too much, I may end up giving McDonald a lot of creative freedom. But in terms of everyone else, I don't think I really want them to have too much creative freedom. I do like the fact that this deep line playmaker, when he does venture forward with the ball, he's roughly around this position here, kind of in the middle of the park. And what I've noticed that he's been doing is maybe getting the ball over to Ryan. He's been spotting the runs of McDonald, or he's simply just playing off really simple passes to these two guys here, Hughes and this dude on the right-hand side. So the deep line playmaker, when he does push forward, he's got quite a number of options with this tactic here. In terms of who he could actually pass the ball to. So yeah, overall it's fairly early days with this tactic, and I do want to show you guys how it looks on the match engine. I won't show you how it looks on the match engine in this episode because I do want to save that for the next episode. But yeah, in terms of kind of developing a tactic, obviously when you're managing a lower league team, the chances are that your players are not going to be too good. But now what I'm getting basically is players that are developing their mental attributes a little bit more. I do have some pretty good players in terms of like work rate, flair, things like that. So, you know, I am more in a position where I'm able to experiment slightly more with tactics. Like this guy here, for example, he's the guy that's playing as the centre midfielder on attack. You can see he's got really pretty decent fitness, good stamina, good teamwork, work rate, vision, passing, etc. So consider I'm actually only in the Championship of Scottish football. I do think this guy is going to be a really good player for us this season. So I'm going to call this the end of the episode, guys. I just wanted to kind of show you roughly how this tactic was going to work. So yeah, this is basically how the tactic is set up, kind of normal. And yeah, I've just shown you how, you know, we're going to be looking to attack. And you know how our defensive shape is going to be when we defend. I will show you this in the match engine on the next episode. If you do want to see that video, please do ensure that you press the like button, just so that it shows me that you do want to see that next episode, and also subscribe to the channel so you can watch the next video as soon as it's out. Thanks for watching.